and welcome to our election special here at Boom. We're calling our coverage US election simplified. That's because we're focusing on explanation. We're not focusing on speculation. We focus on the very basic and very simple questions and answers. And now it's been 2 days since the Americans voted, and we still don't have a clear winner. And it looks like we won't have a clear winner for at least a few more hours. And while it's been an extremely anxious time for Americans, it's also been a time of great misinformation. And we're going to talk about what that is and how that's going on with Archis Chaudhary, who now joins us. He's a fact checker at Boom. He's my colleague. Archis, thanks for joining in. My first question, really, misinformation is a problem no matter where and at what time. But now it looks like this is a special kind of misinformation in the last 48 hours, 36 to 48 hours.
That's right. These are very highly targeted and tailored misinformation to suit exactly the kind of scenario that has been presented to the people. And it has been months in the making, so it's not nothing that was not expected. This kind of a delay in voting was also expected, and Trump has also been consistently saying how he's going to undermine the system in case this happens. And this is what exactly is happening. And because of all these rumors that have been going around for a while, and because of the rumors that spread yesterday about mail-in ballots being discarded, that are in Trump's name being discarded, to the Sharpie Gate, another rumor that spread in Arizona, saying that Arizona's supporters of Trump, they were instructed to fill in their ballots using Sharpie pens so that they could be discarded. So all these rumors led to people really, really believing that they are being disenfranchised. And because of this, they are taking steps in real life. For example, in Arizona, you had a counting center who had to shut itself to the media because people started showing up with arms. And there are people, Trump supporters, who are shouting to stop the votes, to stop the vote count. So here you have people who truly believe that there's something wrong going on, and how the deep state has taken over control now. And, Trump has consistently fueled these narratives.
Right. One should point out, of course, that just by talking about the misinformation, there's a danger of giving credibility to the misinformation, but it is very clearly misinformation and it's very clearly fake news. And that brings us to the next question. What have the social platforms been doing, specifically Facebook and Twitter?
It's quite. I'd say it's quite well done for the Americans, to be able to do this. The tech platforms have been consistently censoring, is the word that's used by a lot of people that I'm seeing, or like basically tagging Trump's tweets whenever they contain misinformation and fact checking them on spot. So every time you go to a Facebook post or a tweet by Trump, there he is putting out something that is unverifiably or verifiably incorrect, you would see a little label which shows you why this post is being hidden, and it also stops you from basically liking the post or retweeting. I think it has the option of quote tweeting. You can do that.
Yes, just to interrupt you there. No, just reading out from the screen, some or all of the content shared on this tweet is disputed and might be misleading about an election or other civic process. So that's a very clear disclaimer there on Twitter. Continue. Archis.
And yeah, exactly. And at bottom, you have this label, learn more about US 2020 election, where they put all the verified content from news sources. And you have a collection of that, and you have that entire page running. So obviously, finally, these tech platforms have realized the importance or basically how their platforms could be misutilized, because they were becoming such important source of information for people. So definitely, I'd say that these platforms have kind of buckled up a little, and at least they're showing some kind of accountability, which is really unheard of in many other countries, especially doing something like this to the leader of the country, where you mark their posts as false. I couldn't imagine something like that happening in India. So.
Yes, and what the US has done, what these tech companies have done in the United States will, of course, be seen as a precedent for other countries as well. And I would imagine there would be these demands to treat every other election just like they've done this, and maybe even better than this, because clearly they've not been doing enough in many cases. And it was also interesting to see Donald Trump's Facebook page also having those disclaimers for every post
That's
almost. You know, there was a lot of talk, and there was the big problem of QAnon, the movement as it's being called, before the election. Has QAnon made much noise, or has it been a factor in the last 36 hours?
Well, specifically, no. I mean, you have Trump supporters making noise, and you have some QAnon followers among them. So sure. I mean, some have made some noise, and you could say that QAnon is probably the people who follow the QAnon theory. They are probably some of the biggest and strongest supporters, vocal supporters of Trump, because according to that theory, again, Trump is that one leader who's going to save them, right? So he's the savior. Clearly for them, there has been no loss yet. This election is the results as they go right now, where they stand. It's a sign of something truly being wrong, because in their mind, Trump was winning, right? Trump has already declared victory almost. For them, Trump has declared victory yesterday. So if Trump is still losing, this is part of the deep state conspiracy that this guy Q was talking all this time. This is how they will rationalize it. And if you see, 97 current and former congressional candidates are actually followers of QAnon, and two are going to Congress right now. So it's not in the fringe anymore. It is coming slowly, seeping into the mainstream politics, and we'd be fooled to ignore them right now. Right at its birth, we need to keep a watch
Ah,
on how this conspiracy theory evolves. And I mean, I could sense a little bit of a cult growing right here. Like with
right.
Trump as its leader.
Yes, that's a timely warning that we'd be foolish to ignore QAnon. And of course, this election is not over, the count is not over, and we might see much more misinformation before things settle down, if they do indeed settle down. And we'll, of course, be keeping an eye on things. Thanks so much for talking with us, Archis.
Yeah.